steps or wait
He's
for the
got family
elevator.
in
I had
the
a
area.
charm.
Hot as Hades that day, you know.
I moved her in at
but I
96
can't believe the
degrees,
size of the
Yeah.
house.
but
Well, I
it
know.
was
Remember, I
at
kept
4:30 in the
thinking it was some
afternoon. I
kind
found
of
a space right
resort
at the
Yeah,
front
or
door
something
in the
coming.
shade.
Oh, man.
And it was
Why would you
close
build
to
a
the
bed
door. As
and
soon as I got the
breakfast
door,
big,
everything was
it
air
was just a
conditioned.
house.
Oh, there you go.
And
15
she went there early because of some
on the
extracurricular
right side,
stuff.
but
Yeah.
Right
maybe
So it
before
wasn't a mob
Briar.
scene. Didn't
Towards
wait
Briar,
for the
maybe.
elevators.
Oh,
Everything.
good deal.
Ethan and I brought an extra set of clothes because we thought we were going to be sweating through
House
it.
looks like it has to be
We really
$1
didn't
million.
sweat. It was-
All right,
Like,
good
white
deal.
we're building it,
It
right?
is good to have a very large
That brings into the threes.
assistant.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
like pushing, let's go push
Yeah.
three.
Ethan
That's
could-
what
Ethan
somebody
could
said, it
take
has to
this
be.
And
conference
invariably,
over $1
when
million,
you
but
think you've got
Yeah,
everything,
he's the one that
you
hired
end
the
up going
lawyer
to Walmart
against
or
Oh, yeah.
the
Target,
shooting range.
which
Yeah.
we did
Oh,
in
he did.
Harrisburg.
It's okay. He's the one that came back
Is
from.
Probably got home at
every
He
midnight.
never
time
comes.
in there with
you
all the
remember his
other
name?
parents and kids and everything.
Yeah.
It doesn't come to my mind.
I can't either, but I
Ethan
know
goes-
he's got
but
relatives.
Ethan goes back on
quickly turned
Saturday.
into a $3 million house.
Oh, he does. Okay.
It's a,
He
I mean,
finished his stint
It's
as
got
the
a lot of
bouncer at
marble
the
in it,
press
I
club
think.
without
It's
getting.
got a lot of,
It's great to see, but I'd hate to try and sell it.
Well, that's
Oh, I
a
don't
little
know that it
about
Oh, I
Yeah.
know.
Ethan's 6'3", 260.
Yeah, he's big, yeah.
But he doesn't know anything about fighting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right now, while y'all are talking,
Okay. Okay. Then I'll just have to unmute.
Oh, we're getting close.
Let's mute all mics.
followed by the pound or hash sign. Welcome to the Prince Edward County Conference Line. Please stand by. You'll be joined in shortly.
Call it to order.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August meeting of Prince Edward County Planning Commission. If anybody is on the phone, if you could please identify yourself. Okay. Well, with that in mind, again, welcome back, everybody. We are back to wearing masks in here. If you're talking into the microphone, please remove your mask at that time. Okay, and again, due to the COVID emergency, it's operating pursuant to and compliance with the county's emergency continuity of operations ordinance. We do allow public to come in, however, because of the ordinance, we are still taking the phone and leaving that open for everybody. With that in mind, has anybody had a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting? Do I have a motion to approve? Hello? Yes, can you identify yourself?
Sounds like Robin.
Yeah.
It does sound like Bobby. It does indeed.
Mr. Bobby Jones, is that you? Mr. Jones, is that you? Can you identify yourself on the call, please?
Hey Bobby, how you doing? Yes, sir.
Yes.
Respond to it.
Can you hear us now? Okay.
Can you hear us now?
Bobby, can you hear us on the phone?
Yeah, the microphone.
We'll just go ahead and continue. Again, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Okay. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Minutes are approved. Next on the agenda would be the capital improvement plan, the CIP, just a project review and scoring. Mr. Love, could you walk us through that, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we wanted to get this in front of you prior to your September meeting, which we hope to have a public hearing if you all consent to that. We have taken those scores that you did at your June meeting and come up with the 14 priorities. We've also tied those in with the comprehensive plan, and I'll just go through those. Like I said, the first priority we've got is the, number one is the animal shelter. Number two is the elementary school renovation replacement. Number three is the VDOT revenue sharing program. Number four is the Public Works landfill compactor replacement. Number five is emergency management, emergency communications radio system. Number six is the building and grounds courthouse chiller replacement. Number seven is the Public Works convenience site upgrades. Number eight is the Prince Edward County High School track restoration. Number nine is the courthouse lawn renovation. Number 10 is the cannery boiler replacement. Number 11 is the purchase of a skid steer for Public Works. Number 12 is building and grounds, the courthouse telephone system. Number 13 is the administration electronic document management system. And lastly, 14 is the purchase of voting machines.
They can hear you, you're just not able to hear them, correct? No, they're hearing you over the speaker here. So which means they are hearing you.
And just a little,
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my phone mute on, so you can hopefully hear it.
Mr. Love, just a question. The priority, is that how the voting came?
Yes.
Okay, so that's priority from 1 through 14 based upon
that is
the
correct.
discussion from both the Planning Commission and the County Board of Supervisors?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And just in the introduction, for the public, per section of Virginia Code 15.2-2239, localities, the Planning Commission does the scoring and reviews the projects with their tie-ins with the comprehensive plan. The board authorized this on March 9th. We begin this with department heads requesting these.
Robbie, if you could hold this a second. It's
Okay.
Bobby on the phone, but he's saying he can't hear. Are there any citizens, anybody else to call that can't hear? Didn't want to go too far. See if we could get whatever's here
Okay.
corrected. So
Okay.
I'm trying to see if I can get him. Let's see.
I would tune in on YouTube, but my modem got struck by lightning. That's why I'm not there, because I was trying to get some stuff straight to get that commission been here 2 days ago. Long story short, I just couldn't get away.
So,
Can you remind him that we can hear him?
yeah, so. All right, hold on just a second. We'll pause for just a moment. Mr. Chairman, if you hold on. Okay, maybe crank that up a little bit. Bobby, if you can talk, let's see if we can hear you.
All right, in my land phone, this is land phone.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
I can hear a thing.
Can you hear us now? Can you hear anything? Okay, 'cause-
All right, you only call, how if I call in on my cell phone?
can you hear me now?
Bobby, can you hear me now?
Do you only call in on my cell phone to the 844 number?
Let's check it one more time. Is that any better?
Now I can hear you better, yeah.
10-4.
Let's try- Can you hear me now, Bobby? This is Robbie.
I can hear now.
Okay, all right. So we've read off the priorities as they were scored from 1 through 14. You have your packet.
I have a big question about the elementary school.
Okay. Okay. Well, just for the public disclosure, we want to just go over this, that the CIP program plan includes major capital projects, non-recurring, should have a useful life of 5 years or more, estimated cost of an expenditure must exceed $50,000 for a general government project and $100,000 for a school project. And again, the Planning Commission has scored these at the June meeting, and this is where the list has come up. These were submitted by county departments to the county administrator and then forwarded to the Planning Commission. So if you have any questions now, Bobby, please, you can certainly state those.
Yeah, at our, for the June meeting, or for maybe, whatever, before we met, the discussion on the elementary school, I thought was like around $34 million. Then I see the estimated cost now is 53.852, which I think was some debt service, I believe, something up that much, is that right?
Yes, sir, Bobby, this is Doug. If basically that's a 20-year bond, it's a 4% interest rate.
4%, that's what I was curious about,
Yep.
because, we could find it a lot cheaper than that.
You can right now, I guess, right now we've got it plugged in. We don't know until, let's say next year we went and get the sales tax referendum. It would be November of next year, 22. So you're talking about, somewhere maybe 20, well, not 20 months, maybe 16, 18 months down the road, we would know exactly what we're dealing with. So I think we plugged in 4%. We could plug in 2%, but then if it goes higher, it would drive the cost up. So,
Well, I understand that, but it's today's dollars, we could easily borrow money at 2%, I believe.
that's correct, but it's when are you going to be able to borrow it? What's that rate going to be? That's the crystal ball.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but, I mean, I'm not a economist or whatever, but, still, it looks like we should use today's numbers and not, I just thought that, when we looked at it at the planning commission meeting, we weren't given that, figure how much the interest would be on it. And that's a pretty large amount, obviously, blows that thing way up. And also, we talked about doing this thing through the sales tax referendum that would hopefully cover that debt cost, which that obviously cuts the interest rate. It still, amount that elevates our capital improvement project, total amount quite a bit.
We could maybe split it in the middle and put 3%. Again, I think the problem is we're at historically low interest rates. Ken, you probably have better background. Odds are it probably won't be this low in a year. Now, is it going to be 2.5? Is it going to be 3? Is it going to be 3.5, 4? That's the crystal ball. That's what we don't know. It will not be lower, but yeah. So I don't want to artificially keep it low. We don't want to over.
It won't be lower than 2%, but it could be lower than 4,
No, don't disagree. All that number, and really, it's not a budget number; it's a planning number. But certainly, we could certainly roll that back, Bobby. That's absolutely correct.
And also, I think we got a long ways to go on figuring the 34 I could, live with as far as putting out a capital improvement plan, but the 53, I think that's, I don't know. I'd have to bulk on building new facilities that cost that much, let's put that.
Well, I think between now and, of course, we got to advertise, between now and next month, we could go back and revise that. Actually, it was 5%, so it's way up. We could revise that, say, down to 3%, and see what that number will look like.
Yeah, well, I think 3 would be more realistic. I know it could go up, and no doubt about that. We've been in historical low, interest rates for quite a while now, and things will probably change. Just about a farm credit meeting over this, no surprise that it stays at the level it has for as long as it has. But, if we are to do something, to this, amount of money as far as, expenditures at the elementary school, we need to get some hard figures and go ahead and move with it. We're going to either reconstruction or refurbishing and lock in a low interest rate. So, lose y'all?
No, we're here. I guess, okay, I do have a question then relative to the school also. Are we going to go into the public hearings with the option of a renovation or a replacement? Or are we going to make a decision, or the school board going to come back with a proposal for one or the other?
So I think and actually, Mr. Chairman, the chair and vice chair of both the school board and the board of supervisors are meeting next week with an architect. I think this discussion will probably take 2 or 3 months. The way we got it right now, I call it worst-case scenario, which is you build new. But I don't think, obviously, that decision has been made, and I think it's going to need to be a joint decision of the board and the school board they come to agreement on. I think from the standpoint of at least the planning commission public hearing level, before it gets to the board and final adoption, maybe we'll be able to flesh out that final decision. But I'd rather have the worst-case scenario in there now and get feedback, and people say, don't put it in there or put it in there. But I think right now, the answer could be somewhere in the middle, which could be a heavy renovation, and maybe that number, say, 15 million. But I think that's what the school board and the board have eventually got to come to agreement on.
I was just concerned about a public hearing when we're not sure of a direction, because the dollar differential is going to be a significant number for the public to.
And the flip
Review.
side is it's the chicken or the egg.
Yep.
If they don't know how much money they have to work with,
Yep.
they can't build a new one. If, let's say the board says you've got 10 million, go do it. So I think that's part of the process, is to get feedback from the public. I don't think the public in Prince Edward have had that discussion about what are we going to do? What should we do with the elementary school? So the worst case scenario for you guys is you're going to hear people that say we need to build a new building, or we need to do a more moderately priced alternative and put a new roof on the building and go in and renovate the inside of it. So I hate to put you all in that position, but it may be good for both school board and the board to hear the feedback from the public as well on how to move forward with it. But I'm hopeful by, say, October, that we have some inkling of possibly a direction to go in.
And Mr. Chairman, if you notice, the language is in here, it gives the flexibility right now. It says the school system is requesting a new elementary school, or at minimum, a significant renovation of the existing facility. So we've got we've got, once they get their architect and all that stuff together, hopefully, then we'll have but it may not happen by the time we have your public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
There was some discussion at the board meeting about replacing the HVAC system at the elementary school. Some help with that, right?
There is, we call American Rescue Plan funds, that school system is getting a chunk of money that potentially can be used for HVAC upgrades. Again, I think, it's like the roof. Why do you want to replace the roof or replace the HVAC if you're going to replace the whole building? We've got to make that determination. maybe if it's a $15 million renovation, maybe $3 million of that could be covered using those outside funds if they qualify to replace the heat and air conditioning system. I think that's certainly something to look at. You talking about at the elementary school? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we took them off that, put them on the ground and put a roof on it. We resolved a lot of the problems with, water situation, I would think.
Exactly.
And I think we looked at the roof being around 2 million maybe.
1.5 to 2 was a new roof.
I mean, that's, seems to be a no-brainer, to me, being a tight old farmer that, we look at that avenue, and, even we had to put $10 million in doing the interior of it, $20 million, we should money way ahead.
Well, that's what I've tasked the architect is taking a look at it right now, is to look at that option. My previous county, we took a 1958 elementary school that could hold about over 1,000 kids. For about $12 million, we put a new roof on it, new windows, new floor, new ceiling, new electric, new cabling, new HVAC. Did an addition for the security entrance and redid the parking lot, all for maybe about $12 million. And you've got pretty much a new school for the next 20, 25 years. As long as you've got good bones and good building to work with, I think that's a good option.
Actually looked into by all means, but,
Yeah.
I know that campus was built, from my dad being on the school board, I've been close to before for 20 years, it was built for 3,000 kids. And, I know that probably the ratio of teachers, pupil has gone down at times, but square footage wise, I think we have, my little knowledge, of plenty of room there, we just need to fix up what we got. And, I think that would be a good way to address the situation. I was on a campus of a school not long ago that was built in 1959, and it's still functioning and looks pretty good. So I think we could update ours and maybe do what we got there, not spend $54 million. I guess it's kind of hard to conceive that a 4% interest rate would create that much interest on that, but it is stretched over 20 years. That is quite a while. But, okay, I will shut up now.
Does anybody have any questions on any, or concerns on any of these other projects that we presented? Like I said, some of the numbers have changed a little bit. We do have tie-ins to the comprehensive plan, which is basically the final paragraph on all of these projects. Just wanted to get this in front of you all before we authorize a public hearing to make sure we didn't have anything that you didn't want out there or edited while we had a chance now.
The emergency services communications
Mhm.
situation, that's another big price tag, but I think it's general feeling we can probably get a lot of help in that, right?
So the county's getting $4.4 million in American Rescue Plan funding. I believe from preliminary indications, you could use those funds towards something like a radio communication system. So, say the county could take $1 or $2 million of that money and put it towards this project and help get that cost down. There's also typically you can do like anywhere from a 5 to 7 year, like a lease purchase on that stuff to spread the cost out. But, it's until we finally get the numbers down, we won't know the final price on it. But if we can get away for $3 to $5 million, I think we'll be lucky. But if it's a $4 million project, maybe up to half could be done with rescue plan dollars.
Okay, just, I know it probably has been a problem with the, professionals, the radio, communications people would do, but will we still depend upon lead now, you think, or will we have other alternatives?
It's Motorola is they're looking at other alternatives.
Okay, that's, I think the, expected expenditures, when we looked at it, back in June, it was 4.7, but then the estimated cost went up to 6.1.
There's a interest cost if we lease purchase the entire piece. So if we use cash and pay it down or pay the whole thing off, obviously you won't have any finance costs with it.
But there'd be grant money there too, possibly, right?
Possibly. I don't know the turnaround time on some of that, but obviously we certainly can take a look at it.
Todd, I guess I should say I'm shut up on that issue. I think everything else as far as I see, I don't need to overtalk everybody, but, everything else is pretty much in line with what we talked about back, as far as cost. Those two things kind of shot up like residential cost. Just wanted to get that clarified.
Mr. Jones, thank you, sir.
I don't have anything else to add, Mr. Chairman. This was exactly what we wanted to have happen. We wanted you all to see that and look at these things and flesh them out a little bit more before we went to a public hearing. So we do have a recommended motion, if y'all are comfortable, to consider advertising for the next month. That is correct.
So we have a motion for a public hearing at next month's meeting to review the CIP plan.
So moved.
Okay. We have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion is passed. Thank you. Motion is passed.
Okay.
Next on the agenda would be review of supervisor actions.
Yes,
Mr. Love?
Mr. Chairman, since your last meeting and the subsequent public hearing of Hampton-Sydney's rezoning, there was a community meeting that was held, and after that happened, Hampton-Sydney actually pulled that application. They pulled that application with a plan to come back to the county with a comprehensive master plan for the college campus. So by the applicant's request, that was voided out and did not go forward, so the board did not vote, but it was withdrawn by the applicant, so there was no action on that. And that was the main actions by the board since your June meeting. Again, I do want to call attention right now, as of today, we have a new citizens guide for providing input to public meetings and public hearings for all county meetings, which was the second sheet in your packet. It talks about right now, in-person participation is allowed today. Of course, to enter this building, you have to wear a mask. This document was voted on by the board and effective August 9th. It was updated. So with Delta, this may change. I don't know what we'll have at your September meeting. But right now, we're a blended of in-person participation, phone participation, and then visible on the county YouTube channel. And we are YouTubing all meetings now. So I want to make you aware of that as well. Under new business, we do have a draft, an updated draft of the highway corridor overlay. If you remember back in the spring, I'll pass half of these out. We were looking to expand this. I'm not going to ask right now, since you just had your eyes on this, for an authorization for public hearing, but we would seek probably at your next meeting to start working towards that end goal. And we've taken this down Farmville Road a little bit further, and then down Commerce Road. And
So right now, we need a black line. I know we've talked about potentially taking it down to, is it to the roundabout? Is it to?
we talked about Worsham at the turn lane.
Worsham in the turn lane. I think that's one of the pieces we need. Again, this is for enhanced design criteria for new development, we're starting to get activity on that corridor. And I think, Robbie and I are both a little concerned, okay, we're going to have this beautiful entrance, the new roundabout, and everything going down 15 and leading back into Ham-Sydney. And now's the opportunity, as all this stuff is going to develop here in the next few years probably, that now's the time to try to put some better framework in place. We had a bulk mulch and topsoil business go in, a couple other things. So I think now's the time to think about it. The existing is 15 down to Farmville Lake Road and includes Granite Falls Boulevard, but if it's just the extension of that, do we want to go up, is it Commerce or Dominion at all? So whatever your thoughts are, we'll put on the agenda for next month for authorization, but any feedback you've got, please let Robbie or I know, and we can make those adjustments.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of commercial interest on 15, and we certainly want to have something, I think, again, with the investment that's put into the, by VDOT at the turn lane at Worsham and the roundabout pending next spring at Fishing Pig, we definitely want to have something in here so we can guide development and make it look like it should look. Right now, like I said, it stops at Farmville Lake Road.
Outside money coming in.
Yes, and a lot of those properties are now up for sale, and I'm getting a lot of interest on those properties, calls, just general inquiries, no applications, but on what those properties could be, whether they would require rezoning, what the existing by right and special uses might be on some of that land. So something's going to happen as they start turning over into the private sector. And they have some property they're selling as well. I think they got one house that they're selling.
How would that work with the land they bought if we were going to do some type of, turn lane to go to another road access, development? Would they turn it over to us to work with that, or how would that work?
Well, with this would apply to any building that was constructed. Right now, we've got a depth of 1,000 feet from the right-of-way. So if you extended this, it would catch most of your street front along 15 development. Obviously, we could look at that number. We can also increase that depth. If we see we've got some large parcels that are moving, we may want to increase 1,000 to 1,500 or 2,000. We just, but that's something that you all can give us guidance on between now and their next meeting. If you had some ideas that y'all would like to see.
Either way, I think we all should be confident to see more activity based upon the change in the traffic flow with the roundabout. There's going to be a dramatic change. Just by the nature of a 25-mile-an-hour maximum roundabout going in there, there'll just be more activity, opportunities on 15. And I think going down to the turn lanes that have been put in already.
Yeah, and we are aware of some potential commercial development at Worsham, at that intersection. It hadn't been sold, but there is a potential for a commercial store there. So, what do you want it to look like, and what parameters should we already have in our ordinance? So that's kind of what we're thinking about. And do you want to stop it at the roundabout, or do you want to extend it maybe to Worsham where that turn lane was put in, or is the roundabout okay? And again, we were looking, as staff, we were looking to go down Dominion and Commerce Road because we want those properties, the signage and buildings to look similar to what you'd see on 15 and coming out of Farmville. So again, we want to work towards getting this. We need this because we're going to have applicants coming to us pretty quick, I think.
And I was just going to remind, we think of ourselves sometimes as, country mice, and we don't, the outside investors will be accustomed to dealing with this kind of thing. It's not going to be a barrier, in my opinion, to anyone who, with legitimate plans to develop. It'll just ensure that somebody doesn't build something really unattractive next to yours and harm you.
That's right. And it does enhance the neighborhood, and it enhance existing properties, and it can build property values in those regions with good sound development, with good materials. It's not meant to be to constrain development, it's meant to guide it and give it some definition
Yes.
and a uniform look.
Any other new business, Rob?
No, sir, I do not. Like I said, we'll bring this back as old business, and you all can let me know in between now and the meeting time, as soon as you want to, what your thoughts are on that. I know we just got in front of you tonight.
But right now, we're not planning for a public hearing on this at the next meeting, correct?
No.
We're just going to look strictly towards the CIP plan.
That's right.
Okay. I think it would be overwhelming to have both.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I may have one application in front of you all for public hearing for SUP. Just don't know yet. We're going through VDOT on one
Okay.
right now.
Thank you. Does anybody on the board have anything for old business or new business? And again, nobody's on the phone other than Mr. Jones? Okay, thank you. With that, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.